Let's go, y'all. Let me show you how you can book your Delta flights with Virgin Atlantic. I have done this plenty of times, 10 to 15 times, and it's a great way to save on your points when done the right way. A lot of people run into issues of not finding availability of Delta flights, specifically with Virgin Atlantic. So that is what I'm going to talk about. And yes, I am wearing a beater. I did just come back from the gym. Your favorite travel hacker would never, but I would because I like working out and I wanted to get this video out to you guys. So let's jump into the computer. Let me show you how I booked this flight. Like I said, I have booked this plenty of times. I'm from Minneapolis, St. Paul in Minnesota, if you guys didn't know that. It is probably the second largest Delta hub, and I fly back home a couple times a year. And I'm flying back home this summer for a wedding, and I just booked this, and I want to walk you through how I booked this flight. I'm not going to go through every single step, but I'm going to show you because it is really simple to book a lot of these domestic flights with points, and it will save you a lot on points when you do it the right way instead of utilizing your Delta Sky Miles. This is why we love credit card points over airline miles, but let's jump into it. Let me show you guys that. Yes, today we're sponsored by Goat Fuel. Not really, but this stuff is good. So let's jump in there. Let me show you how you can get your Delta flights. Excited to show you guys this because I do it all the time, and I want to help you do the same. And I'm going to walk through some questions of people not being able to find availability, walk through some things that I think would be helpful for you. So let's do it. So first of all, let me just show you guys how I booked it, right? So if you guys just check I'm out in Florida. First of all, I'm out in Florida. I can either fly out of Sarasota or Tampa. Usually I have a direct flight from Tampa into Minneapolis, St. Paul, but I have yet to go to the Atlanta New Centurion Lounge. I have yet to go to the New Atlanta Delta Sky Club, so I kind of wanted to stop in Atlanta. And I will talk about a reason why I booked two separate one-ways on my booking instead of trying to find a thorough one-way all the way through stoppage. One into Atlanta, one into MSP. And I actually did have that booked, but I didn't like the time frame in between the stopover. So this is what we can look at. I know I have two options. I can fly to SRQ. I can fly out of Tampa. Now the cash prices here just to fly in Atlanta about 180 bucks one way. 180 bucks one. Oh, okay. 180 bucks one way. I ended up choosing this 7 a.m. flight initially because Sarasota doesn't have a lounge anyway, so it's great. I'll get in there early. Now the other option, right? Atlanta to MSP. Think about these prices, right? 184, 184. So we're looking at about, close to $350 total on these one ways. I think I ended up choosing this one, 1:29 p.m. And if I wanted to, right, a direct flight, like I said, Tampa into MSP, this is actually a pretty good cash price right away. 180 bucks, 230, 180 bucks. So this one's a pretty solid one. And Tampa has a Delta Sky Lounge that you can go to. Really simple. It's a small one. But this is what I want to talk about. You're usually comparing cash prices to the points prices. Let me show you quickly on Virgin Atlantic. Guys, create a Virgin Atlantic account, create a flying club number, and you can do these searches. All you have to do in your search is make sure that you're searching for points. Now, in this scenario, this is just Tampa to MSP. The cash price is pretty much going to be better. Now, we do have a transfer bonus right now, 30%, but in this scenario, you would need to transfer 13,000 points or so. So you're getting about 1.5 cents per point, but the cash price is already pretty good when it comes to the Tampa to MSP. But like I said, in my scenario, I wanted to stop in Atlanta, not only to get more content and review the lounges, the Centurion Lounge, the new Delta Sky Club Lounge, but I wanted to check them out. If you're deep into this points game and the travel game, these are the things that you do. You choose airports by the lounges you can get to, by being able to experience different scenarios. So that's exactly what I did. Now let's look in Virgin Atlantic. This is from SRQ to Atlanta. So this is the situation that I chose. This is the route that I chose. 7,500 points. As we recall, the cash price was around $180. I already chose the 7 a.m. flight. There was 3. I got the last one. But this is the scenario, same exact scenario, 7,500 points and $5.60. Remember, there is a 30% transfer bonus. Now, the second option, which I chose, Atlanta to MSP, I did originally choose SRQ to MSP, and I did book one, but Virgin Atlantic allows me to cancel and get my points back. I didn't like the time frame. It was like an hour and a half, and I was like, hey, I want more time to be able to check out both of these lounges. So that's what I did. This is going to be 11,000 points. So total 18,500, 30% transfer bonus. I did have points in there from a past transfer bonus as well. And look at all these options. This is what I'm talking about. There are multiple options to choose from. 11,000 over the 22,000. And I ended up choosing the 130, this one as well. You could get first class if you wanted to, but 2.5 hour flight wasn't really worth it. And I'm going to actually status match to BA Gold into Delta as well. So I actually might end up getting an upgrade as I get some temporary Delta status in the meantime. But this is what I did. 18,000 points, guys. You guys can utilize Virgin Atlantic to book your Delta flights. Now, what I want to point out though, if you look at miles on Delta, 7,500 versus 14,000, 17,500, 14,000, 17,500. If you book with your Amex miles, I know a lot of people that love Delta. They love to have Delta credit cards, but you're going to pay two times more at least just to book that flight that I booked for 11,000 points. It landed at MSP. If we look here, miles, so that wasn't 2 times amount, but that's 5,000 extra miles. SRQ to Atlanta, miles, 12,000 miles. It cost me 7,500. 12,000 miles, 15,000 miles. It cost me 7,500. Utilizing Amex points to transfer into Delta. No. Why do that when you can transfer into Virgin Atlantic? Utilizing your Delta Sky Miles, they can't move anywhere. You can only use them in Delta Sky Miles. So this still isn't a very good redemption. You're better to pay off cash, but you can get a much better redemption by utilizing your credit card points because it's almost half the amount as they'll charge you in Delta with their Sky Miles. So I want to point this out too as well. One of the things I do want to talk about, I was just going to show you kind of how I did my bookings because it's pretty simple for you guys to create an account and do these same searches. When it comes to checking things out, right? Typically you're going to check Google Flights. You're going to see who flies what, who flies where. I know already that if I want to fly to Tampa or SRQ, I can fly American Airlines into, not RDU, but into Charlotte and then over to Minneapolis if I want to, into Dallas and then over to Minneapolis if I want to. Now, if I fly specifically Delta, I know I can get a direct flight into Minneapolis. And this is how you check, because like I said, I could search in Virgin Atlantic for Sarasota to MSP, and it might give me a stopover in Atlanta, but that stopover might be 30 minutes. Sometimes you might not agree with that time slot. So you might want to check one ways specifically. So I checked SRQ to Atlanta, found 7,500. It's the same amount as it would be if it was a connection anyways. And then I gave myself 3.5 hours where I can check out those lounges and have those experiences, give myself the time. But it did not give me those layover options initially. So for example, let's check it out. When we're searching SRQ to MSP, it's going to be the same amount, but the timelines might not, like 50 minutes. This one was 4 hours and 40 minutes, which was okay. I could have done that. 5 hours, that's a little too long. 3.5 hours. Oh, this wasn't even here the last time. I would have actually booked this one. I mean, I pretty much booked this exact flight outside of, I think I'm leaving at 1:30 instead. As you can see, you can do this, or you'll have even more options if you just choose the one way. So, right, there's a stopover in Atlanta. I just chose SRQ to Atlanta. You're not really going to find like any difference in terms of deals, right? The total is still going to be 18,500. It could be all on one ticket. I chose two. I had more flexibility. There were more options of just that one way. And that's something that you can think about. Now, why you use flight connections to search is you need to understand maybe you're not finding availability because you're not flying into Delta specific hubs. So just for example, like I know Kansas City is kind of a Delta hub, but it's a smaller airport. If you're stopping in a non-Delta hub, you might be able to book one flight into that city, let's say Tampa to Atlanta, and then let's just say you're flying to, Boston or something. But you might be able to book this one, but it won't give you an option with a stopover to book into Boston. So sometimes it's important to check the stopover. Maybe you can book that for 7,500 points and pay cash, $110 to book the second one. So just be a little creative with your options. A lot of people too, right? Seats.aero is a very popular app that you can use. I love it. But the thing is, you'll see Delta, Delta, Delta. It doesn't show Virgin Atlantic. Once you start doing this, once you start understanding how you can book these flights, then you go, oh, okay, maybe I should check Virgin Atlantic. So don't rely on these applications for all of your searching tools. Understand that you can book Delta with Virgin Atlantic. You can book United with Air Canada. You can book American Airlines with British Airways. These are kind of the standard ones domestically. Domestic options are very simple and easy to check. I can do it in 5 minutes and check right away. You can do it too. International is where it gets really tricky and you got to be a little bit more creative. But even on this side, right? Check flight connections, see what airports are specific hubs, what fly. As I can see, I can choose, oh, what ones does Delta specifically fly to? then I might check those hubs to see if I can find better availability or to see if these specific airports have lounges that I want to check out. Make my experience a little bit more fun. I'll take a stopover and check out a lounge that I haven't been to. That's just me though. Sometimes being creative and understanding your airports and where they fly into, what airlines fly into them. I know outside of Delta, if I wanted to get back home and I couldn't find a good redemption with Delta, pretty rare that I don't. Tampa into Atlanta, the biggest Delta hub, and then the second biggest in MSP. That's probably why I find more availability is I am flying into very large Delta hubs, so I can find more availability than smaller hubs. So think about that. The second piece is I understand my airports. If I want to fly United, maybe I could fly Houston to MSP. If I want to fly American Airlines, I know I can hit Charlotte or Dallas and then go into MSP, and I know the areas that I can book them to. But right now there's a transfer bonus, first of all, to Virgin Atlantic. I still had like 16,000 points in Virgin Atlantic from the past transfer bonus last year, and I was able to find great connections into Atlanta into MSP. So that is how you can do it. That is how you utilize Virgin Atlantic. Those are some things to think about in terms of the airports, the hubs, how you can do it, and why you might not be finding availability if you're flying into smaller hubs. As always, I appreciate you guys showing up. Hopefully this wasn't as confusing, but I wanted to show it to you guys because it is not that challenging to do. If you have questions, drop them down in the comments below. If you want to learn more of how to do this, because there's a lot more nuance when it comes to international trips, real big bookings, 5-6 cents per point. Feel free to join the free school community where I'm going to provide value there. Connect with you guys a little bit further outside of the comment section, but hit the like, subscribe button, share it with your friends and family so they can start getting some better redemptions as well. And I will talk to you guys soon. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Appreciate y'all. Talk soon.